Morning, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all doing okay today. So, I don't remember what video this was. I don't remember when I put it up. But I said something essentially to the effect that that the one thing that had me really nervous about this pandemic, when it wound down and things were getting better, and I realized that medically and scientifically speaking, we're not quite there yet. But one of the things that concerned me is petty tyrants trying to force their point of view on people, whether it was medically backed or not. And the best example that I can choose to think of that is Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She saw fit to ban residents of her state from using their boats if they had an engine. So you could go canoeing and kayaking and rowboating, but you could not go out on the lake and go skiing as a family in the early part of the pandemic legally. You couldn't go tubing, you couldn't go fishing if you had a bass boat. Well, none of that added up to me. And another thing that she did is one thing I gotta say first for this to make sense, Michigan has the highest percentage of dual home ownership in the United States. Years and years ago, when Detroit had its influx of automotive workers, when it was truly Motown, a lot of the people there bought property on lakes and built lakeside cabins and cottages as weekend getaways from the hustle and bustle of Detroit. Well, through the years, those have been willed down the family, and so it's not uncommon for someone to have, their suburban house and then their lake cottage or cabin to go to on the weekends. During the pandemic, Gretchen Whitmer, via executive order, said you don't get to go there. In the early months of the pandemic. So if you were in the middle of metro somewhere and wanted to get out and get away from people and go stay at the lake house, or if you were out at the lake house and had to come back home because you were an essential and had to go to work, that was illegal. Now, I don't know that it was enforced, but she didn't want you to do it. Well, so suffice to say, the pandemic made a bunch of petty tyrants. Well, I'm going to leave a link in the description on this one. But it did the same thing for a Chicago family court judge. Heard this story last night that a Chicago family court judge terminated a mother's right to visitation and awarded sole custody to the father after 6 years of being divorced and separated and having joint custody in a visitation arrangement. On a Zoom call, the judge asked the mother if she was vaccinated, and she said, "No, I'm not. I cannot get vaccinated. I'm allergic to a lot of vaccines. I have a lot of adverse reactions to them, and I asked my doctor about it, and he said that I should not get vaccinated." Stripped her of her visitation and custody rights to her own kid, and he's not willing to revisit the issue until she gets vaccinated. Now, I understand that it takes a lot of years of study to be a lawyer or a judge, but that doesn't qualify you in the medical field. I'm hoping long term that this judge ends up losing their seat, and they are either voted out or forced to resign due to pressure, because if you're an expert in something, that's fine, but stay in your wheelhouse unless you're just learning. Unless the judge wants to take responsibility for her reactions to the vaccine, the judge should stay out of the medical field. I hope that it comes back to bite this judge squarely on the butt. But in the meantime, the judge has traumatized an 11-year-old girl, which I find terrible. So, anyway, that was what was on my mind today, folks. Y'all take care. Thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all next time.